What up, everybody? I thought I'd do a quick intro on Moomosa and what Moomosa is. So, at its basicness, at its basis, it's just a it's a drinking game. And as far as the tech stack goes, for all you geeks, this is going to be a React Native application with the Firebase database. I also built a React application to manage that database. Which I call mood management. Love the name. And I have an Apache Airflow instance hosted to also help with the management of that database. I'm executing some cleanup scripts on there. So why React Native? Speed to market predominantly. I wanted to get to the Apple and Android store as fast as possible to test out my idea. Who knows if this was a good idea? I have tons of bad ones. Every so often I have another bad one. Why React Native? Just speed to market. Firebase database, again, also speed to market. I'm planning on potentially updating that to a MySQL database eventually because I like SQL. And it's very well supported. It's very commonly used, and there's a ton of info on MySQL databases online. Yeah, and also to potentially save some cash since Google tends to be expensive. What else? So Firebase database, eventually going to be a MySQL database, React Native application. And I'm using Apache Airflow, which is an open source piece of software that Airbnb released a couple years ago. I absolutely personally love it. I absolutely hate cron. It's just so painful to use. Having a user interface to be able to see the errors that are happening in my scripts and, sometimes run one off, run my scripts randomly throughout the day by just clicking a play button, seeing the interconnectivity of my workflows. Apache Airflow is absolutely amazing. I'm not using that to its full extent. I do plan on jumping deeper into that, both with Moomosa and other applications that I'll have. So yeah, Apache Airflow to clean up that database, and that database is a Firebase database that'll eventually move over to a MySQL database, and I have a React Native application. I also potentially plan setting up, if I have that MySQL database, I'm gonna have to set up a Node.js server to securely access that information. So that will come into play eventually. But at the moment, just what I'd previously mentioned. It's pretty fun. They're just cards. This is more of a description on what the application does. They're just cards with challenges, kind of like Carlos, take a sip if you're wearing sandals, or take a sip if you're currently wearing a hoodie. It just goes through it. It randomly assigns names according to all the friends that you listed. You also are able to save groups of friends. If you have if you hang out with a group of 7 every Saturday, and then Sunday you end up playing with your family, you're not going to want to type out 20 names absolutely every day. So I thought that might be a nice, useful little feature. Users can also decide to submit challenges through the application. So once a user submits a challenge through the application, since the internet is the internet, people tend to put horrible stuff. So clearly, I couldn't let users directly submit stuff to production. So that absolutely all of the users are forced to view the content. So if somebody says something horrible, I then review it. I'm like, this is terrible. Delete that. Or if a user makes a great card, then I just push that through. Eventually, I'll probably be the bottleneck, but at the moment, it's working fine. There aren't too many submissions. Hint, hint. But yeah, have a good one, everybody. Pretty stoked to tell you guys about this new app. Try it out. Don't try it out. Who cares? See ya.